Good evening, good afternoon, whoever you are in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours, and welcome to another exciting installment of Darkness in Dublin. The funniest thing, when one accepts the fact that the universe has many holes to it, is how one accesses some of these many different points. Well, obviously, somewhere there's a great door that leads to nowhere, or indeed an archway that might in fact lead to somewhere. However, many of these places are found in the most unusual spots, almost as if the esoteric forces of the world decided to twist and rend reality in such a way as if to almost make it plausible. Those of you who seek the Dublin City Library, maintained by the ecstatic known as Siren, well, that's one of the more interesting places you have to go to. There is a large, well maintained family pub called O'Shaughnessy's, which is located just off Grafton Street in central Dublin. It's currently raining outside. However, as you step in, there is a great fire burning in the hearth with logs for the patrons to add more to the blaze should they wish to. There is Irish music being played and a lot of what the Irish would refer to as the crack going on, aka music, frivolity, the clapping of hands. It seems like a rather odd place for a library, but you're told to simply go to the bar and ask for Siren. So, we will go from my right to left. So, in that case, Brett, you are the first to do the introduction thing.
Alzir has heard about this place a couple times from the Elder Council telling him, if you ever need to find out information about something in the city, this is where you go. Well, Alzir just came across a very unfortunate puzzle that he now has to solve. So he heads into the bar in all of his Kuwaiti Muslim glory, wearing his blue jacket, tie, nice plaid shirt, slacks, probably boots, yeah. Carrying his bag, which has a lot of his notes in it, as well as some other useful little implements that every forensic anthropologist needs on him every once in a while. I'll walk to the bar and say, "Pardon me, I was told to ask for Siren, and if I could please, can I get a Diet Coke?"
The woman behind the bar looks like she was once beautiful. Maybe 15 years ago, she would be considered a beauty. She's still not bad, but you can tell that age has taken its toll as she looks up at you and she says, I'm sure that you can ask, dear. Absolutely. The question is, can you pay?
Alzir will pull out his wallet and pull some, it's euros, right? Pull some
Correct.
euros out, place it down.
She'll smile and she'll say, do forgive me. However, we get a lot of shenanigans in here from time to time, so I'll be getting your drinks, sir.
He'll nod his head. Of course, I have no problem with that whatsoever. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we will have Grog. You are next.
Michael Cullen comes in, sees the forensic anthropologist and nods to him, but walks up to the bar, sits down kind of near him, and waits to be spoken to by the barmaid.
The bar lady will come back with the Coke in hand for Alazir and will place it down in front of him. And she'll say, we don't get many men like you in here, sir. If you don't mind me asking, where exactly are you from?
Talking to Alazir or talking to Michael?
Alazir.
I'm actually from America, but I was born in Kuwait.
Oh, that's very interesting. As I said, we don't get many gentlemen like you in here. And what can I get for you, laddie buck? She'll say, looking at Michael.
He'll just smile. I'm here to see Siren, but if you can pull me something like a black stout or something, that'd be much appreciated.
The hell are you talking about? Of course I can do it. The question is, can you pay me for it?
Of course I can. I don't work at the Metro PD and not get paid.
Well, she has to see a thing from the bitching that they do, your lads do.
if we didn't bitch, they would stop paying us. As he like pulls out a €5 note and hands it over to her.
And on that note, Solon, you are the next to join us.
Since Finley visits this place a good, based on the schedule, 2 or 3 times a week, he's probably a pretty common sight. He just walks in. He actually likes the bar lady quite a bit, but heads in, smiles to her, orders a drink, which in his case is, again, he's trying to get off the habit, so water. But he'll still pay, like, he'll drop 10 euros anyways. It's become kind of tradition. He's taking up their time. And if she gets it for him,
she will.
Then
she will. I'll say she'll plant it down on the table before putting the money in the register. She'll also hand Michael his Guinness.
He's going.
Thank you a lot.
Sorry. Just gonna say he's gonna down it. Look around. I don't. Did our characters meet during that Pebble incident or no?
Yep.
Okay, so he recognizes you, and I think he met Alazir at that same time.
That is correct.
Okay, he's going to look at both of you, nod, and then after he drains the glass in about 5 seconds, he's going to get up, and unless Evan wanted to make this, I don't know what Evan was planning, but he's just going to walk in. Oh, we lost Evan. He'll be back.
To answer the question, you will wait until all are assembled because I don't want to have to do this twice.
Gotcha.
Next on my list, we have Carlisle.
All right, Carlisle will head in. He's wearing some bulky clothing, but looks relatively normal. He's carrying a bowling ball bag, though. He'll step up to the bar, nod to the others, and ask for a shot of whiskey and place some money down. Enough to cover it. Plus,
casually shrugs. She pours the whiskey and sets it onto the table.
Pays for it and leaves a little bit better than an average tip. So.
Okay. And last but not least, we have the Lottie.
Sorry, figured out a way to finally get my homework open. The lovely Lottie is kind of gonna bounce her way towards the bar, smile broadly at the woman tending, and be like, "Hi, can I have cider, please?"
Of course you can, my dear. Your name wouldn't happen to be Lottie, would it?
Why, it sure would be. Why? Have you heard things about me? My reputation can sometimes be proceeding.
No. It's more so the master told me to give you this. She'll say she removes a letter with a wax seal on it.
Lottie will take the letter and the seal, eye the seal a bit. Siren said I need to have this.
She'll nod.
Okie dokes.
I have absolutely no idea what's in it, only that I was told to give it to a Miss Lottie at, well, bloody hell, he's right again, this exact fucking time. As she looks at her watch.
He does that a lot. It's like his thing. I swear he gets a kick out of it, just to frustrate people.
So, you are handed the envelope.
And Lottie will kind of sit down, pry the seal off with her nail, kind of open it slowly.
Okay. Inside, you will find a card, roughly about the size of a credit card. That appears to be made of. It appears to be made of It's made of what you would swear is solid gold, but it's very thin. As I said, it's about the same dimensions and width as a credit card.
The fuck is this? And just turn it over, kind of examine it.
As you turn it over, you'll see that on its underside, because you picked it up on its non-written side, on its underside, you will see that it has raised blue lettering that appears to be written in a very spidery blue font, or it's not written on it. More so, it's like the gold itself has been changed color, so you can feel it. It's raised above, like it's physically raised on the card itself, and it says, "Does Lottie speak Latin?" By the way.
No, she barely passed high school. But she does have Google Translate on her phone.
I was going to say, it says something in Latin.
Google Translate to the rescue.
Google Translate. Oh my god, this means I have to butcher this because Google Translate's going to get half it wrong. Okay.
Hey, it's AI is getting better at language, damn it.
Yeah, you say that.
How about that? Pull up the AI for yourself and see if it butchers it.
You know what? I'm going to translate this from. You know what? Yes. Give me a second.
Do it. Do the thing.
Doing the thing. Okay. It actually translated it pretty well.
Nice.
It literally translates to this the beholder is entitled to remove at their leisure whatever items they see fit from this whatever items they see fit from this premises, and shall not be accosted by the defences thereof, provided they swear to return said within 1 lunar month.
Return what? Well, you look and kind of twist your head. Did he give me a library card?
Yes.
He gave her a library card. A solid gold library card. Gold laminated?
He in fact did give you a library card.
Well, Lottie's never been one for libraries, but it's fucking solid gold. She's down for that. Just gonna twist and shine it in the light. What fucking kind of library, though?
If you ladies and gentlemen would like to follow me, I'll happily show you where Master Siren is.
Oh, you just got muffled.
Yeah, you got real muffled, man.
Sorry, my apologies. He says, if you ladies and gentlemen would like to follow me, I'll happily show you where Lord Siren is. Or where Master Siren is. My apologies. We can call him Lord Siren.
Please and
Thank you greatly.
Wait, did Lottie get her apple cider?
You did, you know. You did. You also didn't even have to pay.
Ozzy will take a sip and say, yes, please, let's go.
Carlisle will
She'll
down
happily-
his shot of whiskey and follow.
Okay. So she takes you from the bar into a small alcove-like back room that appears to be horseshoe-shaped. In front of the entrance to the horseshoe-shaped room, there is a curtain that can be pulled over. It's not a very large area. It's just a single, basically, it's just a single round seating area and a table. But on the walls, there's a number of interesting portraits. So what she'll do is she will pull the curtain behind her and she'll say, now then, lovely to see you all. So I'm going to do something now, and he'll tell you more about it later, but needless to say, if you tell anyone about it, I'll fucking blow your kneecaps out. We all understood? Square? Savvy?
I like my kneecaps. They're for dancing.
Heard and understood.
Carlisle will nod.
All right. There's a large portrait that appears to be of a doorway, a kind of a doorway to a house, an overgrown house at night, and she will run her finger along the top of the door, along the top of the picture frame. Wow, that took me a while to get out that word, picture frame. And the picture frame itself will shimmer momentarily and ripple as if it had turned to a liquid-like state before she'll say, well, it's rather simple. You climb through there, kids. Time to get on your climbing shoes.
Lottie will be the first one to scramble in because curiosity failure. Just be like, see, this is why I have kneecaps.
Yeah.
Carlisle will follow behind her.
Hopping right through.
Finley will take the rear.
Okay. Very important question. Do any of you have any weapons on your person? Or, and I amend my statement, any items that would be used in conflict?
Yes, the Hogfather gave me a very, very nice gun.
Okay.
Does defensive count?
I beg your pardon?
Does defensive count? Because he's
Yes.
because Carlisle has his armor on.
Are you wearing your armor?
That's why his clothing is bulky.
You're about to take so much ag damage.
Holy
Oh,
shit.
have fun with this.
Hey, Evan, does a scalpel count?
No, it's not going to. Basically, if anyone had, okay, okay, you cannot take weapons or anything that intimates violence into this place. A scalpel doesn't really count because the spirit of a scalpel is not inherently violent.
And Alazir has not used the scalpel to stab anybody, even though he has been suggested to do so.
That's true.
The gun, okay, because the gun is a wonder, which means it is slightly different. Grog, what will happen is you will start walking, because basically as you clamber through the portrait, you will see that literally the door in the portrait is standing in front of you, about 10 to 15 feet away. As you walk forward, about 10 feet from the door, your gun will stop, in the sense that it will physically drag you back, in the sense it cannot pass beyond this point.
Is there any place that I can put the gun down, like against a wall or something?
You can put it down on the floor.
I will unload it and, Evan, what about the shotgun rounds? Because I wanted to give one to, what's-his-face, so he can research it as well.
What shotgun rounds?
From Anthony's scene, that we don't know what they do.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
the rounds
Oh,
there-
hi.
Anti-magic, actually.
Okay. Hi, Ian. How you doing?
Apparently not very well.
You really not? How many points of armor is your armor?
It's a 13-point armor.
Oh,
Would you like to roll me that dice of aggravated damage as it heats up and starts to melt?
You know, it would really have actually been. How is a gun? How is armor related to?
How is a what related to what?
Never mind.
You cannot bring. Okay, I will give you an out. Do you possess correspondence?
No,
Then you can't see the ward.
would have been nice for a warning.
But why would I warn you? You have no reason to be warned.
I have no reason to be warned that I'm about to take a shit ton of damage for wearing armor that's defensive, with no offensive capability at all.
Is it designed for combat or war?
It's designed to defend.
That's
and it's
okay.
combat.
Yeah, essentially, dear. Bear in mind, the person who lives here was nearly horribly murdered, and he views all conflict as horrible. So he warded his home against these kinds of conflicts, against anyone who would bring an item that is used in battle to his house. How much damage did you take?
You didn't tell me how much I was trying to soak.
You're not trying to soak. Your armor is the amount of damage you're taking.
Then I'm dead.
As in, you're taking it in rolled dice.
Yeah, then I'm assuming that I don't know how that's working because there's 8 successes and a couple of ones. So
He just melted, didn't he? Right before my eyes.
I
Well,
believe he did.
1, 2,
Oh,
3,
shit.
4,
Can
5,
I
6,
reverse time?
7. There's 7, not 8.
Well, dead, still dead. 7 kills you.
7 ag would drop you to mortally wounded, and there's somebody nearby with a medicine score.
head to our deck.
To answer your question, Grog, yes, you can in fact reverse time.
I'd like to reverse time
Warn the
for everyone, but for everyone, including myself, so that this doesn't happen and I can warn him.
Just like take it off. Just take it off.
I will actually ask. I will be politically correct. Does anyone here possess an active correspondence site?
No, because I'm afraid of losing the rest of my willpower.
Well, as in, has anyone blue booked one?
No, I don't
no.
have correspondence.
I do, but I don't have it up.
Solon, do you have an active correspondence site?
Evan, have you actually rolled one with me? No.
Well, people blue book stuff that I'm not there for all the time. I just accept people who roll things.
No, I don't have one.
Okay. Because I will point out, kids, important fact, correspondence site is how you see wards. And yes, some wards, like this one, if you're wearing armor or have... For the record, you're lucky you weren't carrying a non-magical gun, because if you were, the gun would explode.
Note to
And that
self:
does it.
buy correspondence.
Yeah,
Look at it.
yeah, I'm gonna have to spend
Hey.
10 XP on correspondence.
If you guys have faith-based paradigms, I can teach it to you.
I do, in fact, have a faith-based paradigm.
Okay.
Technically, we'll talk later.
Technically, we'll talk later.
So-
Okay.
Here's the deal. I need to rewind about 12 seconds, maybe? Does Wrinkle kick my ass?
No, Wrinkle doesn't... Okay. For a start,
Okay.
you're in a place where you don't take paradox.
Okay.
Sweet.
But I'm trying to think. Give me a second here.
Just long enough for you to yell, "Take the fucking armor off."
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just enough so like he would get kind of like a flash of deja vu, and
Well,
be
I
like, "Yo,
have
take it
mind,
now."
so I remember what happened.
Well, there you
Yes,
go.
he does. All right, Grog, you can do so. You will require...
2 for the effect, and lots for the success.
Well, no, you require 3 to start the basic effect because it is sphere in numbers for the basic effect to be kicked off. So as time 3 for first time, you require 3 successes, base minimum, and then I will give you a success for every round that you wish to. A round is 6 seconds in thing, I think.
3 seconds. Combat round is 3 seconds.
Out of combat 6.
Yeah, then I will give you then for every 3 seconds you wish to reverse after that would be an additional success required.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
I'm gonna start with,
I'd recommend if you got any quintessence, use it to drop the freaking difficulty.
I do have quintessence. I know I've got willpower that I'm gonna be blowing too.
Saving lives, man. Saving lives.
Yep. Does anyone have a faith-based paradigm that can maybe lend me some quintessence?
I do, but I don't know if I have enough prime to send it to you.
Have enough what?
I don't know if I have enough prime to send it to you.
Can you ritually cast with? Wait, that's not how this works anymore, is it? You can't ritually cast with me.
I don't have
Unless you
enough
have
time,
time.
I don't have enough time to ritually cast with you.
Okay. Whew. So then.
Oh wait, shit! Hang on! Whoa! We don't actually have to go through this.
Okay.
I misread my own notes.
Oh, phew.
And
Does
I
the
forgot,
armor take it?
no, I forgot Siren's the pacifist.
So it would just drop him unconscious.
No, the armor turns to dust.
That's way better than melting. That's way better than melting.
Takes the damage.
Sweet. All right. No one dies.
Sorry about that. I actually misread my own notes. There is another ward that if you cross over it, you will take the damage based on your items, if it helps.
Let's not go through that one.
So essentially what will happen from everyone's perspective is walking. Why did Carlisle just lose about 10 kilos worth of weight? And why is there dust coming out of his clothes?
Well, that's better than melting.
Alzir is going
Yeah,
to scoop
and
down
he-
with a
He
so scoop
literally
down
just
with
turns.
and take a sample of it for the mass spec.
He just turns around and leaves.
Okay. We lost the this, bro. I think Ian is salty because he brought it. Who the fuck wears fucking battle armor onto their fucking clothes?
To be fair,
Listen,
how come the wonder weapon was stopped at the border and didn't either explode or disintegrate?
Because the wonder weapon has an arete score. The armor doesn't.
But why would it be designed to just destroy things? I mean, wouldn't it just keep them out?
I think there's a question of keep weapons out, and if you're wearing armor, you're planning to do something.
But you
On
can
the
just keep
inside.
the person out. If they're wearing the armor, they're kept out because the armor can't.
No, the reason. Okay, Solon. The reason that it didn't destroy a wonder is mostly because I'm not going to be that guy and just go, I destroy your wonder, because most that also takes Prime 5 to destroy a wonder. And fuck that. But no, it's literally just a matter of it destroys mundane weapons because this is a place of learning and not a place that needs weapons.
Which kind of makes sense.
Also, there was the whole fact that, when we allowed people to have guns in here, they tried to brutally murder the librarian.
That's fair. So essentially, the wards are tuned to anything with quintessence.
I didn't hear the end of your sentence.
I was saying, so essentially, the wards are discriminating between things that have quintessence or not.
No, Evan is being a nice ST and not blowing up the wonder that he gave me for Christmas.
You can easily get the armor back.
I will point out, Evan isn't being a nice ST, Grog. The gun itself does not wish to cross the threshold.
Yay!
Because you've never asked what kind of wonder it is. It just so happens to be a fetish. There's a spirit in there that doesn't want its home to die. So it's basically
This
going,
is true.
Nope. But yes.
I'm still taking a sample of that dust.
It is metal dust.
Presumably with lots of quintessence traces.
Well, no, his armor didn't have any quintessence. It was just a suit of armor.
Because he and I talked about it for a while. What he told me is the way he was able to enhance it to that level was he pumped it full of quintessence. At least I thought that's what he said.
No, he just used that. Basically, it was just a matter. Okay, it wasn't a wonder. He just had a matter effect on it to give it armor points. He basically had armor that gave it armor. He basically made armor, then used a matter roast to give it armor points. It wasn't a wonder itself. Because, see previous ruling, I'm not going to just take someone's wonder from them, because that's dickish. It was just an ordinary suit of armor that he'd souped up to be silly. Because you can do that with them. To be fair, I had clothing as Gravedigger that gave him armor 10. Because you can do that with clothes. Anyway. Moving swiftly. So, yeah, the door is just standing there as a door.
Well, I'm going to leave the Reaper behind. Tell it to be a good boy. Don't shoot anyone while I'm gone. And go in.
Okay. This is not a new site for Finley. However, it is a new site for everyone else. You enter into a room that looks to be, from the balcony upon which you stand overlooking it, It looks as if it is a dozen football fields long, with huge, titanic glass windows through which sunlight streams. It wasn't very sunny in Dublin, however, here it was almost as if you stand on a precipice overlooking the noonday sun. The bookshelves that dominate the room are at least 25 to 30 feet high, with silver ladders that extend onwards and upwards, reaching the topmost levels as far as the eye can see. You are immediately assaulted by the smell of dust, the smell of paper, that smell that is given only by knowledge, only by information. It is a good smell. It is sweet. In the center of the room, there's a huge globe. This globe is vast. Its circumference must be that of, I beg your pardon, it must have enough volume to be filled by an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and appears to be made of liquid silver that spins on its axis, constantly changing as clouds and the rays of the sun also dominate it, playing across it like a real-term, almost as if you were looking at the weather of the world depicted on a single globe that spins very casually. You overlook knowledge that was assembled through through the lifetimes of hundreds over many generations, and it all stands before you.
Lottie's gonna kind of flit around, kind of hiss quietly, "Siren! Siren! Siren!" Because she's not sure if this is one of those libraries where if you talk too loud, they'll get struck down. She's pretty sure those exist.
You will notice, as you enter, there is a stained glass statue that appears to be of a small man, maybe 3 or 4 feet tall. But as you enter, there'll be a grinding noise as his head will pop up and quirk to the side, as he will say, welcome back, Mr. Weiss. You've brought friends.
Wait, who is this?
It's one of the library sentinels, one of the stained glass servitors who maintain the library.
I didn't think they talked.
Lottie's gonna jump out of her skin and, like, first show an apple, be like, "Be gone. The fuck is that? What is that?"
Most of them don't talk. This is, however, Sentinel. Sentinel talks. He's the one who guards the door now.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. In that case, I assume I would have seen him before.
Lottie's
that's why he's Sentinel.
Lottie's just gonna have a little panic attack of the walls talking into the corner. Ignore her.
I apologize if I am disconcerting you, young lady.
No, it's alright. I'm still getting used to stuff. Just, do you want an apple? No, never mind.
I'm quite happy without an apple, thank you.
Okay. The fuck is Siren?
Master Siren is currently in the inter-treatise section. He is currently cataloging.
He's been there a while, hasn't he?
Alright. I bring bad news for Master Siren about his father. Can you please show me the quickest way to him?
There's kind of a blink, blink, blink. He will then look over at Finlay again. He will say, Mr. Weiss, did you wish to continue what it was you were reading last time? I believe it was Magister Kolareth's Medallium Interdictus treatise on the High Umbra.
Sounds about right for him. He just kind of shrugs slightly. I might later. I should probably see what these folks are here for. It's interesting.
Very good, sir. If you would like to follow me. You hear, Sentinel very rarely moves. However, he's got little wheels.
Zero will move to follow the golem.
Yep.
Oh, my apologies. Allow me to extend to you my official welcome to the Horizon Realm of Parchment.
Ooh, nice name.
We thought so, young lady. Thank you. Oh, we have 2 new people. So,
Who dat?
one important note: for the love of God, don't wear armor into this scene, or else you'll probably throw a hissy fit, and
I
it will
do what
amuse
I
me.
fucking want.
Byron actually has a wonder armor, which includes an offensive capability.
Yeah, then it'll just have this. Oh my God, he's gonna have to strip.
Listen, stripping is better than the alternative, alright? But if you need music, Lottie has a Magic Mike playlist if you need.
Possibly go wrong. I just need to go get a drink and go to the bathroom, guys. So if you can bring new people up to speed on the scene, we'll continue when I get back.
Okay, so it's taking place in Siren's library. For folks like Byron who have not been there before, if your character heard about it through any means, you'd know to go to a certain club called O'Shaughnessy's. It's kind of an old bar or family-run bar. You'd probably have gone to the counter itself, asked for a drink. I don't know if he's going to gloss over this. You
Get threatened by the lady.
Yes, that's traditional. And then once you pass muster, she leads you into an anteroom, which has a portrait. You rub your finger along the top of it, if I'm not mistaken. It causes it to turn into a portal. You climb into the painting. You're now in a hallway, which leads you to a magical library, which is really huge and amazing and has animated servants and a master ecstatic running around.
It's really cool, but also because Siren's assassination attempt has been in recent history, weapons and stuff for combat is barred. So if you're going in, you're going to see a nice little gun to the side that is not allowed. Poor thing. It's going to be left out in the cold.
And a pile of dust near the portrait.
Yeah, a lot of dust from somebody who tried to get in with combative armor, and it melted. Well, it disintegrated off of them. They left. If you're coming in with the armor, it's going to disintegrate. So maybe strip beforehand, but you wouldn't know. Do either of you have correspondence? And
No.
Evan did state he's not going to kill anyone's wonder. So I'm sure he's got a method for fixing that.
If you're wearing a wonder, you just can't approach within so many feet of the doorway.
The thing is, he also specified that just because you have a fetish.
Yeah, that's true.
His are not fetishes. I mean, given their origin, it's arguable. That actually, that's a good point.
I was going to say, well, he's gone anyway, but based on Byron's backstory, they are totally.
He said he'd be back.
He'll be back.
Awesome. So, Father Belmont, are we GM hand waving you into the scene? Hand waving. That's a word, right?
It's barely a word. It didn't exist until a few minutes ago.
Well, I'm glad it exists now.
Kim was also BRB.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Okay.
Yes, Byron, you only need to strip because as you get close to it, something pings and you're like, all of a sudden your armor starts falling off.
Okay, I'm going to be fair. I'm not going to make a character strip because that's really inappropriate.
Does it just disconnect and float off of them like Ronin warrior armor or something?
No.
It's a suit jacket.
I was going to say, he can take off the suit jacket and the bow tie, because there's a bow tie. And if he does that, it will count as an ordinary suit of clothing.
And the gloves.
And it can pass through. So he just has to take off the suit jacket and leave the suit jacket and the tie on the ground.
And the gloves.
And if he does that, he can just get through.
Yeah, the gloves are definitely a weapon.
Okay, yes, and take off the gloves. I'm just not going to make a player character strip.
Not unless they lose around
really That's somewhat fair, yes. They know what they were getting into. You see, I will say this right now. the bar lady would have informed Sir Fuxalot if she could see the armor, but no, somebody had to wear a trench coat. Who wears battle armor walking around the city, for Christ's sake?
I mean, to be fair,
I'm a police officer, and even I don't do that.
well, was the gun visible or was it hidden?
Bear in mind, he's a police
The
officer.
gun was not visible.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Like you
armor
could
to carry it.
see it, like if you look, but roll perception alertness, you can see that he's got a holster. But
Kim, do you exist?
I
She
think
does not
she's still-
exist yet. Okay, we're just gonna hand wave you her so that she's walking with you. As I said, the tiny servitor named Sentinel. He's about 3.5, 4 foot tall. His little wheels start trundling down. He will.
Sorry.
Beg your pardon?
No, I just wanted to say that I was back.
welcome back.
Okay. So, yes, his little wheels start trundling as he leads you down into the library proper. Once again, have any of you in real life been in a jungle or a very, very deep forest with very tall trees?
Yes.
Kind of sort of.
The library gives off a similar feeling in the sense that it has a wild, unkept nature that's not free in the cities. For those of you who may have spirit side active, the spirits in this place are very, very active. There are spirits of learning, spirits of knowledge, spirits of the books themselves, who are all bound to the place and all kind of, they're very happy, very ecstatic. This place is a good place, and they're very happy to be here, but it gives the place a kind of a wild feeling, a feeling that anything is possible, a feeling of pent-up energy, but also a feeling of quiet contemplation, the search and the thirst, that thing which is to understand. But the bookshelves almost loom over you, but it's not a negative looming. It's not like the bully who would look over you and tell you to give you his lunch money. No, it's the big brother who would look down at you and make you feel okay because they were there, and while they were there, nothing bad could ever happen to you. You will see a number of the other little servitors. They don't talk to you, but they're pushing their little brooms around, making sure the place is clean. If you want to ask Sentinel any questions as you trundle along, you can do.
So, random question. You wouldn't happen to have books that would tell us where the Fifth Legion disappeared at, would you?
I thought it was common knowledge that they disappeared 287 miles outside Alexandria.
What about their Scariarch, their mascot pole?
Well, that's currently lying approximately 800 feet below the 800 feet below the surface of the Red Sea. Don't you know?
Bard's eyes are like as huge as saucers at this point. Like, oh my lord.
That's what the library does, sir. It contains information. I, as one of its custodians, have linked into its circa pool, if you will. If every book is a stream, they all feed the pool, as it were.
It's like a
Lottie
living
makes
version of the
mental notes
zeitgeist.
to ask him more about Eris litter.
So basically, this whole place is a manifestation of the zeitgeist. Interesting.
In a manner of speaking, that would be correct, sir. However, it is more so the fact that it has been created via the hands of humanity, but now it represents something of those individuals who it built it in and of itself, if you understand me, sir.
He'll nod his head. Quite indeed. The scope of transcendental dimensionalism in here is fascinating.
We do our best to impress, sir.
Would this library be my best hope in finding the missing Horizon Realm? of this area.
The sentinel will stop, quirk his head, and he'll say, "If you would like, when you have met Master Siren, we can ask Gustav if that is indeed possible." How to understand? I am a font of the pool. You must consider Gustav himself to be the pool itself. Now then, this way. He will kind of turn to the left rather sharply.
I'm going to keep him in eye distance because this place is big enough for us all to get lost in.
Speaking of which, should we hand wave Byron having joined the group kind of while we were hesitating or something?
I was going to just basically a wonderful element called GM hand wave him. I was just going to say that he has just been silently with you since you entered from the pub.
Cool.
You doing okay, Byron?
Your mic on? He occasionally has mic troubles.
Anyway, Sentinel will continue on. You will eventually, after about 10 minutes worth of walking and movement, you will turn a corner. This area of the library is slightly more dark than the others, in the sense the lights from the gigantic windows do not fall as easily here. Also, any of you who may have spirit sight up, the spirits here appear darker and more brooding than the others. The books also appear to have taken on a more narrowed shape, appear to have changed ever so slightly, if subtly. They appear to be more intimidating, more resonating negativity, and possibly even fear.
Okay then. I'm gonna ask our little friend here. So, forgive me for asking, but why are the books afraid?
It is not that they are afraid, sir. It is that they represent fearful subjects.
Could you give me an example, perhaps?
He will stop. He'll putter over to a bookshelf, and he'll kind of, he'll extend his little his little stained glass arm, and he'll pick up a very thin book, actually, by comparison to the others, that's bound in red, and he'll trundle back over, and he'll say, "This is the diary of Liva Ertwigstein. She was a lovely young lady who lived during the sorry. She was a lovely young lady who lived during the Spanish Inquisition. This is her last memoir, her will and testament, shortly before she was burned shortly before she was burned just outside Valencia in 1629. The only copy known to exist."
Byron's eyes go even wider now, as the books now call to him with their siren song.
Yes, Byron. There's a character named Byron.
Oh. I can't even ask. The hell?
He will replace the book, and he'll say, "We are also getting closer to the library's forbidden or restricted section."
Are we allowed to look in said section?
I would ask why you would want to.
Because even bad things that have happened in our past are still worth knowing.
However, some of that knowledge can corrupt and twist the reader. That comes from the good doctor standing outside.
And also, history is doomed to repeat itself if you don't learn from it in the first place.
Quite right. When I say forbidden, I do not mean it is forbidden because the emotional connotations or the lessons of the book are negative. It is because of the contents that they have been considered to be vile or dark. One might almost venture to say evil. Matters included.
Forgive me for interrupting, but I know a name. I'm going to write it down, and I need you to tell me if there are any books in here with this name. Now that you have said that. Evan, I'm writing down the name of a demon and handing it over to the little automaton.
Which
You know
demon?
the demon. The A word. The one from Anthony.
The fuck do I know?
He said it was your demon.
My demon?
Mm-hmm.
Your demon starts with an A, very big horns. I don't know, I'm just joking.
You'd think that would narrow it down, but strangely, no.
Nope.
I can say the name, just give me a second to go get my notes, because I have a bunch of notes that I've written down.
I mean, he might just recognize it as a demonic name.
No, this name is in the city. He looks like a snake with slitted eyes, and he tried to kill me or tempt me into Nondium in my seeking.
I beg your pardon?
I believe I didn't stutter. He tried to kill me and or turn me to Nephandiism in my seeking.
Did I? Oh, no, that's honestly, that's an Anthony thing. I have no idea. So to answer your question, the bot will say, maybe. Because Evan can't give you an answer. If you want Anthony, ask Anthony if the library would contain something on it. It's like the Occult Library of Dublin. Yeah, anyway. But
he's also going to ask, are there books on how to slay demons once you know their names?
Yes, there are. I would wonder why you have such an interest, however.
Alzir's giving you hella mad side-eye, by the way.
He literally comes out and says it. Look at my aura. You can see me and my avatar.
I am activating Spirit Sight.
Please do. Hey, look.
I have it on all the time.
Hey, look. My avatar is standing right here because he's my ally.
Well, no. Do you have manifest avatar?
No, he doesn't manifest.
And he's not standing anywhere near you.
Oh, I'm gonna try that now.
Point out, be like, listen, if he was up to shit, wouldn't something about this place expel him?
True.
And we know him, so if anything happens, we can just find him and get rid of him.
Welcome back, you guys.
Thank you.
A demon with a peculiar name and a peculiar look and cast about him attempted to corrupt me in a very unwholesome manner during my seeking.
Did he buy you dinner first?
Was his name Faust?
No, but that was kind of the vibe that I was getting from him. And we're not talking Jinn, we're talking actual, honest, to the Lord, God, or whatever high power you believe in, demon.
What would a demon want with you?
I believe he's attempting to corrupt pious people inside of our city.
Was the Lord himself not tempted? Says a voice.
Yes, and I happened to meet Jesus Christ of Nazareth during my seeking. Would you like to cast a ring of truth, then?
Can I roll Spirit Lore to know that there are multiple such incarnations?
I have no doubt. So, you will see a tall man, for those of you who haven't seen Siren before, a tall man with blonde hair. Today it's plaited and thrown over his shoulder. He has powerful, piercing green eyes that literally seem as though they're looking right through you. He's wearing a green robe he's wearing a green overrobe with a golden underrobe. He has a he has a large golden medallion of an Ouroboros around his neck. For those of you who now have spirit sight up, you see two coiled golden dragons linked around him, almost serpentine-like, that hang from his shoulders and are wrapped about his body. I have no doubt that is what you believe to be the truth. However, ultimately, I could ask many people who dwell within an asylum, and they would tell me they're Napoleon Bonaparte and mean it.
True, but can they travel in time?
Very calmly, Siren will extend his hand, and he'll basically do a gesture with his hand. He'll basically connect his his thumb and his index finger together, and he'll say, "You haven't moved in time."
I'm sorry, as he says, and he looks directly at him. Does Ring of Truth go off?
What do you mean?
Is he telling me the truth?
He is. What you perceive in your seekings is not necessarily what you think it is, I assure you. You may think things that are indeed what you perceive. They are not necessarily real-world truths. My apologies. I heard that you were coming. He'll offer a deep bow. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Siren. Welcome to Parchment, my library.
Lottie will wave. Hi, boss.
She gets a fist bump.
Thank you for having me over. He bows.
You are more than welcome, Mr. Brown. You are welcome here whenever it is you seek knowledge.
Alzir will return the bow and say, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. I had some information I needed clarified.
Of course.
I believe we both have information on that front. I come bearing bad tidings for you, good sir.
Perhaps we should step to somewhere more comfortable and further from the forbidden section before we talk about dramatic or needful things. If you would care to follow me.
Zero move to follow.
He brings you to a large, I think Grog has been here before, yes. He brings you to a large circle in the center of a bunch of bookcases. It's almost like a clearing in a forest. You notice the fact that there is a desk and a number of chairs in this given area. You guess it serves Siren as kind of a pseudo office. There's also a large grandfather clock that's ticking away rather happily behind his desk. As he takes his seat, he'll say, "May I offer refreshments, food, drink, perhaps?"
Alzir will hold up the Diet Coke that he is currently drinking. Take a sip from it.
Apple pasties?
What did you ask him for, Lottie?
apple pasties, like little pastries.
He will move his hand, and the tray of said will appear on his desk. Enjoy.
Daddy will take the pasties and be like, yes, delicious apples.
Now then, I do hope that Mr. I think his name is Carter. I'm trying to remember Carlisle's second name. He will say Mr. I think it's Carter was not too disappointed when he figured out that he could not enter.
Alzir's going to actually pull out the vial of his armor dust and toss it and catch it and say, well, maybe this will serve as a reminder of going places with certain items that shouldn't be used.
Oh, I'm sure he just remembered he left the stove on or something, or he's late for Zumba class.
I'm slightly confused. What happened? I saw him suddenly turn around and leave, and there was a bit of dust.
Zumba class.
Siren will kind of hold out his hand for Alazir to throw him the vial.
Alazir will throw that to him and say, if I put that in the mass spectrometer, it'll come back as the composite elements of the metal alloy used in his armor, correct?
I believe so, yes.
So
He'll look at it. He'll kind of hold it up to the light and look at it, and he'll say, in simplest terms, Mr. Weiss, I have taken precautions so that people cannot come armed for war into Parchment anymore. So they cannot bring weapons or armor, or they cannot bring weapons upon their bodies or armor themselves in steel. No one who has the intention of doing harm may set foot in here again.
Then, while I can completely understand the logic of such a decision, and it is your sanctum, but would it not be wise to, for the convenience of others, to at least post a warning somewhere?
I'm
He walks
curious.
into a library in full plate armor.
Wait,
Very true.
he will kind of quirk an eyebrow and he'll say, I had informed the bar lady to issue a warning. I was informed that
Why
the
would you
ward had
warn
been...
your enemies, though?
Well, it's mostly because my enemies would slip past and not be seen. But I'm curious, how was... He's kind of chewing, as if he's trying to say something, but he's trying to think of his words, and he's just like, so my question becomes, he was wearing armor that appears to be made of he'll look up, a steel composite.
I could not tell that he was. I mean, his clothing was fairly bulky.
Which
Likely the bar-
significantly slimmed out when that dust fell out of him.
Then that makes sense, but if the barmaid would not have noticed that.
If his magical education has been so lacking, he cannot identify a simple word, then frankly, well, he deserves a better teacher.
I apologize. I'm not trying to consider this to be devil's advocate, but I know people who have somewhat valuable heirloom weapons and such that they keep on their person. With no warning, if that item were concealed under their clothing, as it is a good idea to do so in this city, if they were to walk through here and the barmaid didn't notice they had weapons on them and they didn't happen to have skill with that particular type of magic, you could inadvertently destroy something very precious to someone.
In doing so, I am protecting something far more precious.
Of course, but would it not be easier to simply... I'm not an expert in such things. I apologize. I was simply thinking a sign or something might prevent that.
He'll smile and he'll say, it is admirable that you try to see both sides of a story, Mr. Weiss. Never lose that. People often become blind to perspectives that are not their own, and in doing so, they lose half of the retelling. However, he contemplates. I also think this is a lesson in many ways. After all, who walks around in the modern day wearing what is literally, from what I can see, a suit of plate armor?
No one up to any good, I would suspect.
Or someone who has something to fear in the city, and there are quite a few things to fear in this city.
I fear demons in the city. You don't see me walking around wearing a knight's plate, chest, brick, and other.
No, but do you have the skill or ability to create such things, or the skill to wear them?
My question is, why exactly, how exactly did he crawl in that thing? That's really my question.
How did he what?
How exactly did he feel comfortable crawling in that armor?
If it's the suit I saw before, it looks like it probably has hydraulics of some sort.
Out of character, Solon, it doesn't.
Then I assume he has some means of doing so. It is a, hypertech suit.
It's not.
It was just regular armor?
It's literally, I'll tell you out of character, it's literally a suit of plate armor. He has no hypertech.
Well.
That's why I was just like, it gets destroyed. If it was made with magic, I'd have been nice about it.
Well, never mind. I'm going to drop it now. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Byron.
I'm sorry. Great, respond. Okay, goodbye. Go ahead.
Sir, I have news of your father.
He'll smile and he'll say, interesting. What news do you have?
He is dying.
No, he's not.
He is currently, as I know him, in a coma with something debilitating trying to, how do you say, eat away at him?
Not entirely correct. He is, for a start, he's awake. He's no longer in a coma. So, hooray. But no, it's not, alright. He'll say, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. I'm not going to say simply because I'm legitimately not trying to insult your intelligence, but in a simple manner. Alright, so what happens? Okay, he'll put a piece of paper on the table in front of him, and he'll say, think about it like this. This, he'll say, drawing a circle in the center of the page, is you. Then this, he will say, drawing a circle and shading it in with the pencil, is a negative energy or corrosive substance such as acid or something that is anathema to your flesh and being. Do you follow?
I follow so far.
He will then draw another circle around that, and he will say, and this is the magical protection put in place by yourself to prevent that toxic entity from leaving you.
I understand greatly now.
Essentially, from what I'm led to understand, having spoken with my father briefly yesterday, he has taken on a vestige of this outsider, this gestalt being of the stars, so that it cannot be whole, and he is holding it within himself, literally poisoning himself slowly, but the exchange for this is the fact that it is not complete.
That is evil tidings to hear.
Would that not also mean that if the entity were destroyed or banished apart from that one piece, that piece would be, well, it would still be a risk?
My father has more than enough magical energy to destroy the shards that exists within himself. However, he has deigned not to do so because he knows that should he do so, it would not necessarily weaken the whole. Essentially, think about it like this, Mr. Weiss. You possess 100 beings, if that makes sense, and you give me, say, 10 of them It is much easier to recoup 10 beans than it is for me to recoup or gain 90. Do you follow me?
Now look, I know I'm a bean counter, but that was a bit much. He has a smile when he says that.
Yes, but you understand the premise.
Yes.
Essentially, he has kept it from being able to gain its full strength and maintain its physical form for longer than sporadic bursts because it is not complete and relies more upon its anchors. When the mainstay of it is destroyed, he may banish or incinerate that which remains.
I have another bit of ill tidings to tell you. There are actual demons in the city.
They've always
Things
been
that
There've always been demons in the city.
I did not know that. Things that speak Enochian and the word and the tongue of Adam.
And ones
Demons
that...
are everywhere.
Sorry.
What was that, Solomon?
And my character's going to be like, and ones that apparently enjoy walking around and inhabiting 10-year-old boys.
Ugh. Unfortunately, demons exist because they exist. They are angels who long ago deigned to fall from God's grace, or from whatever God you choose to follow's grace, I suppose. But ultimately, they will always be here. They never left. They come and they go. I'm sorry to be the one to have to tell you this if it is a disturbing truth, but it is a simple truth.
How would we destroy such a thing that was a being once created by a high god?
The answer is that you don't. Ultimately, there are very few ways that they can be destroyed. True masters of spirit and archmages thereof may possibly destroy them. However, they are beings of pure spirit, pure ephemera, if you will. They inhabit physical bodies because they do not possess their own physical bodies anymore. I'm led to understand some of you have met angelic beings, true angelic beings.
Mm-hmm.
They still possess their physical body. So, you made some reference to a 10-year-old child. Can you elaborate?
Without getting into too many details, a couple of the magi here in the city and myself encountered apparently a very fearsome and well-known demon.
Are we speaking of Shaitan being in the city?
No, I'd heard
so
of that. No,
fringe at that.
a different one.
Shaitan also isn't a demon.
Wells are sending off a text to the elders saying Shaitan's here.
Panic!
Shaitan is technically a greater jinn, but jinn are not demons. They're more complicated. And
No,
also, that's not his name. That's merely what the Judo-Christians came to call him. I believe his actual name is. You'll see him flick. He'll open a piece. He'll open a book on the table, and he'll kind of flick down with a nail. His actual name is Sharatep.
doesn't roll off the tongue as easily for Westerners, I suppose.
But then again, you know how Christians were. They like to claim everything was theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just see an emphatic nod of agreement from the Muslim.
Lottie's just in the corner eating her pasties, just like demons and shit. What the fuck? What have people been up to while she's busy partying?
Speaking of things of corruptive energy, that brings me to what I wanted to talk to you about. I need some help identifying a sign of Dwemer that I came across while investigating the two murdered artists.
I have information to give to you as well to help with the investigation on that.
We can talk about that as well. The issue is that the Dwemer that I came across has the ephemeral mark of the followers of Centipede. the I'm sorry, you Westerners and spiritualists, you refer to them as the Nefandi who follow the worm.
Centipede sounds more creepy. All the little eggs.
The Fondy makes me more apprehensive than Centipede. You'll have to forgive me, but thank you for those words.
Interesting. That's odd. Siren will kind of lean back in his chair and he'll say, that is peculiar. Normally, the Nefaldic organizations don't work well together. They all have different beliefs. But, so, are you insinuating that there is another cult active in the city?
If not a cult, then a specific individual. The official report that was given to the medical examiners had them listed as suicides. However, thanks to my further investigation, I was able to determine they were tortured in a rather crude manner. Then they were impaled. Then their hands were impaled by what appeared to be their own paintbrushes, and their other hands were broken into a form to make them seem like they had stabbed themselves in the hands. There was a chemical used on the wounds so that they would not clot, and they essentially bled out.
Exsanguination may have not actually been their death. There were beings that were torturing them. One that had the mind of evil or deranged psychopathy.
That would explain the extent of the injuries. One
However,
person was beaten physically with fists before being impaled. The other one was cut and then cauterized.
There were spirits there, as well as spirits of malignant intent, as well as a magical darkness to keep anyone from seeing, even when looking back into the past.
That fits. The Dwemer I'm referring to was a mind-affecting enchantment placed upon the bodies that would make anybody who looked at them that were not suitably cloaked in mind power believe that the individuals had committed suicide when in fact they didn't. And I'm saying this to people that aren't here.
Oh no.
I'll wait for Grog to get back to before I re-say what I said before I realized you were gone. Okay, Grog, Evan, you both back?
Yes.
But I'm sure why that's happening.
Okay. So basically what I said was there was a magical enchantment on the bodies that made anybody who was not significantly protected with mind magic believe that the bodies were committed suicide, even though every evidence on the body suggested that the wounds that they suffered were old or superficial and had no concrete focus on exsanguination. I'm pretty sure that something physically racked the life out of these individuals, and that it probably hastened the expelling of the blood. And
something tortured them for 12 hours straight. I had to listen to it.
That fits the damage patterns.
Oh, sorry, continue, Brett.
So that fits the damage patterns that I found on both of the victims. It was very clumsy, obviously done with rage. I'm sending information to the police department to look for people that are involved in the art circles and that have jealousy over people's skills.
If one may say, I have not spent an inordinate amount of time in the research of the topic. However, this seems brutal. Not brutal as in the Nefandi are not brutal, but more physically brutal, in the sense that it lacks their sense of pragmatism and high ritualism. They are, yes, death is an element of their magics, but it is generally done in a high ritualistic manner that involves more. De- he's trying to find the words. More practice the arcane as opposed to just raw emotion, if
Well,
one understands. And you say
this is why I suspected it was a personal thing, that there was somebody who knew both victims, either through the art circles or otherwise, and was jealous of them. The two individuals were shackled to prevent them from being able to go anywhere.
This is most disconcerting.
It's why I wanted to speak to somebody who knows about the Wyern and the spiritual effects that their people can have, because it may be somebody corrupted and not a full Nefandus, though the magic was definitely of a Nephandic bent.
I'm not quite sure that the magic was an Afandi. I think it may have been something that has the ability to copy what we would consider magic.
Well, did
Myself.
you look at the Dwemer?
All that I could see was the darkness when I looked back in time. I could see what happened and I could hear what happened. Or I couldn't see what happened, but I could only hear, because there was magical darkness that nothing I could do could pierce.
Well, having the bodies with me, I was able to perform a more thorough investigation of the magic that was laid upon them. It was like silvery spiders wrapping webs, trying to negate people's mental commands. I mean, it even started to affect my own lab assistants. Why I have all of the evidence under lock and key in my lab.
Siren will pick up an inkwell from his table, and he will remove from his desk what almost look to be permission slips. And you can see or you can feel as he's writing that that something magical is occurring, and he will basically hold out these two slips in his hand, one towards Michael, one towards Aladzir.
Alazir will take it.
Michael will bow his head and take it.
These will allow you access to the restricted section in order to find books pertaining to the items or the individuals or entities you may have seen. They will allow you to cross-reference material. I'm going to warn you, however, the restricted section is dangerous in and of itself. Not just what you may learn, but the essence of the place is cankerous.
Is it Jor-like?
No. Jor is simply death. This is malignancy.
I will need to prepare myself a little bit before I go in there. Through Allah, all things are possible.
Inshallah. You may have as much time as you require. Out of character, we can't do it now because I would need Justin to do it with you.
Oh,
I
no
can.
worries. I can wait for it later.
Do you have a mind magic, Alzir? And perhaps some kind of faith-based magical beliefs?
Alazir
I
will
do
nod
not.
his head.
Oh, he does.
Alazir will nod his head. Mind is one of my more potent magics. And
Perhaps we can work together then to create larger shields than either of us apart for our minds.
Alazir will nod. And we'll just
Siren takes out, by the way, Siren takes out a perfect, round, rosy red apple and places it on his desk.
Siren has Lottie's attention.
He very calmly reaches under his desk and he removes a long silver knife and he cuts the perfect apple in two.
Heartbreaks. How could you?
He will extend his hand, holding one half of the apple in Lottie's direction.
Takes the apple. Holds it.
He will then apple and eat.
She accepts. Eats the apple.
He calls this feeding his apprentice. It's kind of what he does.
Poor perfect apple.
He will say, "The city seems to be clouded by so many dark storm clouds. I wonder why."
Isn't there a rule about how shit comes in threes?
I suppose. Then again, I could also say that in theory, isn't it always darkest before the dawn?
This is true.
Ish.
All you need is a bunch of fireworks. I mean, if you've got really cloudy kind of background, you need something light. Pop open some brightness in it.
Lottie's getting her, basically Siren's kind of tussling her hair now.
Yes. She's happy. She has apples.
So, what can you warn us about these books? Are some of them possessed? Or
I honestly can't.
fetters?
Everyone who enters the library experiences something else. Or rather, the restricted section. It twists your own fears into weapons that it uses against you to prevent you finding what it is you seek. Mr. Weiss, that reminds me, I have something for you.
You do?
Yes, well, you have been such an... He contemplates, voracious patron of my library that I said that it might be wise to give you this. He reaches into his desk. He opens a drawer. You can see him fiddling around in it for a few moments before he withdraws. My apologies. A small cage. Inside the cage, you will notice there is a tiny crystal bird. Very similar to the servitors.
He's going to stare at it and look very surprised and curious. Spirit sight. Is it a spirit?
It has a spirit in it.
Ooh.
He pushes it across the table.
He'll lay a hand on the cage. Like he's obviously accepting it. He's just looking at it very carefully now. He just kind of looks down at it. Like, what kind of bird does it look like? Or is it just a generic magical bird? Not that there's any such thing. But, you know.
It looks to be a small bird about the size of from the tip of your finger to the bottom of your palm. Maybe a bird of paradise. But as you look at it,
Sorry, go on.
Okay. As you look at it, you can actually see its eyes blink, and it kind of it does what a bird would do in the sense it would go to ruffle its feathers, but it doesn't have any feathers to ruffle.
So instead, it's just clinking.
Yes, a little bit.
He's gonna look down at it and just look through the bars and say, "And what might your name be?"
My name is Zephyr. It is nice to meet you.
A pleasure. And he looks up at Siren and is like, "This is a very generous gift of yours."
Siren shrugs, and he says, Zephyr here serves as an index. Whenever you come to the library, if I am not here and you require a specific tome or wish to find a specific piece of knowledge, he may guide you to it.
Is he too... Sorry, go ahead.
Is that for you on his own accord, or are you being forced here?
Byron, you're doing that thing again where your voice gets all crackly. You may want to relog real fast.
I'll give it now.
No, you're gonna have to relog. Is that the thing that happens to me, by the way, or is mine slightly different?
The answer
there
is
you go.
yes.
You're much better
There
now.
you go.
Alright,
What are you
so
saying?
Zephyr, was it? Are you here on
Zephyr.
your own accord, or are you being forced here?
I was created here? You see Siren looks very unamused at that statement. Like, very unamused. Like, Are you insinuating, Mr. Brown, that I would have slaves?
Forgive me, it's not what I'm insinuating. It just... I don't like... I like to see spirits free. Not enslaved. I was not meaning to offend you at all. I just did not know what kind of person you were. If I have to, I will make it up to you somehow. He kind of nods. I'll give a half bow.
No. Ultimately, you spoke out of a greater wish for the independence and indeed the sanctity of spirits. I can respect that, but no. Zephyr here is Zephyr. It was created for its purpose, and he is pleased to serve. Zephyr nods and he says, I rather like being an index. I know many things. Also, I can open the cage. It's mostly just for show. He'll kind of tap the cage and the door will kind of swing open.
Oh no, it's free! No, I'm just kidding.
It also gives me a place to perch. Though you will require to buy me a newspaper every day.
Of course. Do you?
I like reading the newspaper.
He just kind of looks like. I assume you require some food as well.
No, just the newspaper.
All right. He'll just, kind of carefully move the cage with the bird on top of it, I assume, towards his edge of the desk. Or table, desk, whichever.
The bird goes with. Just kind of, whee. Siren puts down his now he has finished eating his half of the apple, and he puts down the remains onto his desk, and he says, I have never understood. I've never understood, apprentice. What is it with apples? Why?
Because my goddess deems it so. And they're delicious.
I accept this premise.
What's it? Lottie actually has, I believe, she's got a high avatar. She's got a high avatar rating, so you would see Eris just chilling. Yeah, Manifest Avatar 3.
Oh, yes. If it's manifesting, yes. He will say, all right, then. I wish to give you a present as well.
I have to head out.
That's fine, Grob.
Really
you head
tired.
out. I don't think the scene is going to last terrifically much longer. He's just going to give Lottie a present, and then I think we're kind of good to stop.
All right. I'll try to get up with you and Justin sometime later, Brett, if that's all right with you.
That's cool.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay. So, Siren is going to stand up, and he's going to say, would you gentlemen follow me for just a moment? Gentlemen and lady, of course.
Alzir will stand up, pick up his duffel bag of forensic scientific stuff, and we'll follow.
He will walk out of the. He'll walk out of the clearing, and he'll walk about 20 feet, and you'll see another clearing, but this one is just under the light of the. This one is just under the light of the. This is just under the light of one of the large. There are 3 huge windows, as I said. This one is just under the light of the windows, and he'll walk into the center of another clearing. And he's going to put his hand on the ground, and you see him concentrate for a few seconds as he whispers something in a language none of you quite understand. And he will say, as he stands up, he'll say, I contemplated this. I said, and I thought, how would I get my student to learn? And the answer is simple. I would give her a place where she would want to learn. That seemed reasonable, yes?
Yeah.
Probably.
So you'll see him extend his hands. The ground underneath your feet, guys, will start to shake and shudder as the stone that you're standing on the stone just behind Siren will split asunder, and as he's holding out his hand, as brown roots proceed to punch through the ground. They proceed to grow taller and taller as a trunk extends. Wispy branches then come, followed by green leaves, until you are standing in the shade of a glorious tree. And then, under the light of this glorious window, this window that shines with eternal sunshine, you will see each one of the budding flowers start to turn to fruit until the tree is covered entirely with apples.
Lottie's gonna make a very deep croaking sound as she just gasps deeper and deeper.
You will also see in the bark of the tree a figure, not carved into the bark, but part of the living bark that looks exactly like Lottie.
Ooh, pretty, right? Yeah.
He will walk behind her and he will put his hands on her shoulders and he says, think about it. Long after you're gone, this will always be Lottie's tree. You will now have your place here.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to smile because this is the weirdest thing ever and it just completely fits her. It's a giant fucking mesh of apples. It's the most beautiful thing she's ever done.
This is where I'm going to teach you to be better than you are. Or, that's wrong. I'm going to teach you to be the person you can be.
I am for that, boss. She's going to smile and give him a hug. Thank you.
He'll kind of look. He'll hug her back as he smiles. And on that note, I think we're good to end the scene on that note. Mm-hmm. So thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another Scene in Darkness in Dublin. Have a pleasant evening.